Today I gave you a mammoth homework assignment, which is due Wednesday, November 12th. First, your project check. If you are reading a novel, you should have half of the novel read, and I'll be talking to you individually about that half of the novel. If you are doing the iMovie presentation with a partner, you each need one news story on the fall of Rome. If you are doing the newspaper option, you are doing 2 stories because that is an individual project option. And remember, they just have to be in rough draft, and they're on the fall of Rome. Annotate the temple destroyed document that I sent you. You're reading the remainder of chapter 10, and the links or attachments that I sent you, watch all those, including this video. So let's do a little review of, let's try chapter 10, sections 1 and 2. And these are our main questions that we're confronting. Why was Jesus crucified? How was Christianity born or created? In year 312, Constantine the Great will convert to Christianity. His wife, Helena, the Edict of Milan, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, and Christianity becoming the official religion of Rome, along with the birth of the Pope, or the office of Pope, I should say. So, who sentenced Jesus to death? We know that you could have a varying opinion on the responsibility falling on Caiaphas, right, as we see here, or on Pontius Pilate, the Roman prefect or governor. It's totally your opinion. In the Bible, you have a version that basically Caiaphas wanted Jesus crucified, and that Pilate wanted to wash his hands of the whole thing. So, in our reading of the book of Matthew, you can make your decision educationally. You can make it based upon what you've read. But what happens after Jesus' death? After his death, the Christians in the city, so where did they get the name Christ from? It comes from the Greek word Christos, which means Savior or Messiah. And the Christians in the city decided that they wanted to follow tradition, and because Jesus was resurrected, they feel, they want to bury their dead. And the Romans believed in burning the dead. And so they used to bury their dead in catacombs underneath the city, illegally at night, secretly burying dead bodies all over Rome, which are still there. You can take catacomb tours of the city. And they would put symbols outside the catacombs, like the fish symbol. So when you see a car on the highway with the little, what the people call it, the Jesus fish, that's what it comes from. You would know that there would be a Christian catacomb by seeing this fish or seeing the X and the P symbol. They were all hidden Christian symbols, so you know there was a tomb underneath the city. But Christianity started off very slowly, and it would spread due to Roman roads and the fact that it offered people hope. If you had a miserable life, the idea that you lead a good life, even though you're poor, you will have rebirth in heaven, and you will meet loved ones, and it let them deal with pain and loss and grief. And who spread the religion? Number 1 guy, Paul of Tarsus, whose original name was Saul. And when he converted to Christianity, he changed it to Paul. And he was hired to deter Christianity. He hated Christians, thought they were freaks, weirdos. Supposedly he was there when the first Christian was martyred, actually stoned to death. But on the road to Damascus, Syria, he supposedly saw Jesus in an image, and Jesus spoke to him, and he went on to become Christian just like that, and he wrote 13 of the 27 books of the New Testament. I mean, he was vital in spreading the religion. He's mainly in the eastern half of the empire, like Greece, or what you would know as the Byzantine Empire. And in year 64, the year that Rome burned, and Nero, Emperor Nero, blamed the Christians for the fire, which is false, he supposedly was swept up in the mass executions of Christians and was martyred in year 64 by Nero. We all know, the expression Nero fiddled while Rome burned. The other major missionary is St. Peter. As you can see from this picture, St. Peter went to Rome, and he's credited with being the first pope, if you will. Before they called him the Pope, they called him the Bishop of Rome. And he was rounded up by anti-Christians, pagans, and he was going to be crucified, and he said, I'm not worthy of being crucified like Jesus. Crucify me upside down. So his crucifixion was upside down. And they supposedly dug up his remains outside the Vatican in Rome, and they put his remains underneath the altar in the tomb of St. Peter's Basilica today. And that's why they call it St. Peter's Basilica. So Peter and Paul were your two main missionaries that brought the message of Christianity. And this is St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City, Rome. You might have seen it in Angels and Demons, or in the Da Vinci Code, or other action movies, or any movie for that matter that takes place in Rome itself. And as well as you know, Vatican City is the smallest country in the world. It's a country within a city. Now, for 300 years, nobody liked the Christians. They were thrown in the Colosseum. They were being martyred. They were being tortured. And all of a sudden, Emperor Constantine is going into battle. And you see all these ships here? Constantine led his troops to victory at the Battle of the Milvian Bridge after his conversion to Christianity. So he supposedly saw a flaming cross in the sky. He put on the men's shields these two letters, this like P and this X. The X and P symbols on the shields represent the first two letters of the Greek word for Christ. And his enemies were crossing this bridge made of boats, and all the boats collapsed. Half of the army drowned. It led him to a great victory. And he's like, God's on my side. And he becomes crazy for Christianity. Him and his mother, Helena. So Constantine will be your first Christian Roman emperor. And he goes on to move the capital to Constantinople. He proclaimed the Edict of Milan the following year in 313, which gave religious freedom to everybody. So you could be a Christian, but you could be a pagan. He was very far ahead of his time. But his mother went crazy for, like, I want to know where Jesus was born. I want to know where Jesus had his Last Supper. I want to know where Jesus was crucified. I want to know where Jesus' tomb is. So today, if you wanted to find out, you could thank Constantine's mom. Was she a historian? No. But she went to Israel, and she marked all those places. And here is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. This is the most holy site in the world for Christians. You can see two domes. One underneath one dome is the site of Jesus' crucifixion, and underneath the other dome is the site of his tomb, the actual place where they put his body, according to the Catholic Church. So you can thank St. Helena for that. She's now sainted. So if you look at the church, Golgotha Rock, where he was crucified, was here. And it's all underneath the present-day church, and you can take a walk over and you can visit his tomb, which people always think it's two very separate places, but according to the church, it's in the same building, which is pretty incredible. And as the church starts to grow and Christianity's message grows with Constantine's conversion, it becomes the official religion of Rome. And in year 600, you have the Pope. The office of the Pope is born. So Pope means father. And so the father of the Catholic Church, still to this day, lives in Vatican City and holds Mass in Vatican City. And all decisions of the Catholic Church are made by the Pope, the father of the Church. So I hope this helps you. And I hope you did your reading. And I shall see you in class.